It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day and day 4 in Oceanside. And this is the last day. And every time, guys, every time I think, oh, couple hours in and out, I'm wrong. There's always so much detail work to do. Now, here's my challenge in this Oceanside project. We are dealing with these narrow beds, and we didn't want to sacrifice the mounding. And if I had it to do over again, I would do it again. But that lends some challenges in that once we put down the top dressing rock, there are places where it's steep and that rock is going to roll right off onto the concrete. And I want to avoid that. I don't want the client out here having to push rock back up all the time. So Joni has collected these beach pebbles over the last 17 years. So they are special to her, and I wanted to implement them into the design, and I figured that I would just do, just a kind of a casual ribbon through. But what I'm finding is that I need them to shore up places in the landscape where I'm having some runoff. So what I did after we got the top dressing down is I went through with a watering can and I just hit it, washed off all of the rock, and noticed where it was starting to pool and puddle on the concrete. And in those areas, I'm punching in some of these river rocks. Now, that's all well and good, and that serves a very important purpose, but I want it to look good too. So I have the double whammy of not only doing something purposeful that's actually going to provide some sustainability to the design, but I also need to be able to step back and look and make sure that my rock is all balanced. So when we get to the grand reveal a little later on, pay special attention to these beach rocks and how they're laid out, because I thoughtfully installed every single one for one of two reasons: for aesthetic as well as for practicality.
What?
Well, wait. In the morning when we did the intro, we didn't say with the grand reveal because we hadn't with the grand reveal. Oh man. So, okay, you get kind of getting a twofer here. So this is the grand reveal in Oceanside. 4 days here with 4 crew. We missed a spot. Yeah, let's see what Cullen's doing. So we go through these installations when we're done with a fine-tooth comb, because you know how I feel about dirt showing. And as I was coming down to shoot the grand reveal, my eye caught, you guessed it, dirt showing. So we were able to grab Greg before he took off with the truck and the rest of the 3/8" Cali Gold so that we could fix it. But like I said earlier, this was such a gratifying project on so many levels, and I always really enjoy using objects in the garden that mean something to the client. So all of these beach pebbles that she's picked up over the last 17 years, 1, 2, or 3 at a time, I was able to utilize all throughout the garden to bring all kinds of beautiful continuity. Everywhere she looks, she's going to see her precious rocks. There may even be memories attached to some of them. Specifically, this rock over here, Teri did this little vignette, and I just think this is absolutely stunning. This rock is called onyx, and what an incredible stunner it is. So we've got, Greg had to replace the irrigation timer because the client's timer was shot, so he got that done. Yeah, well, we went all along the bottom, and Teri and I got it.
No, I saw some spots.
Oh, you saw some spots? Teri did a couple. We brought in some new pots. Teri did a beautiful job shading it with the pots, packing them just absolutely full of succulents. This was that awful thatchy area that nothing was going to grow in. Well, we fixed that, didn't we? And I used the beach pebble, you know, thick over here as a border between the properties. So you can get really super creative when you've got a neighbor's yard. You don't necessarily need a wall or a fence.
Or bender board.
Or bender board. Or anything formal. Just a simple ribbon or running of rock or rubble is all that's really needed aesthetically to divide the properties. So that's good news for all of you DIYers out there. And here we have, you know, some of you commented on the jasmine. This was a request of the homeowner specifically, and it's going to be fine. It's like bougainvillea. As long as you stay on top of it, it's not going to be a problem. And jasmine doesn't get looper, you know, those little worms that poop their weight in black, ugly drops all over your garden furniture under your pergola at home. But we're going to be back once a year. We'll be able to keep up with the jasmine. It's not going to be a problem. There is plenty of light. It's not going to block anything or cause any issues other than just to smell wonderful all summer long. I also took, you will notice, and displayed the client's seashell collection just in cute, you know, little vignettes, subtle here and there. Remember the 3 R's of design: rocks, repetition, restraint. So I didn't go crazy with the seashells, but I did pop them in some places. This was challenging. You know, some of these beds were only a foot wide, and I want to make sure that we planted things that were going to be sustainable over a period of years and not require a whole lot of intervention. This is something that I have going at home with my irrigation valves. I just planted crassula in between them. This is going to grow up around those valves, and it's a really soft plant, so it's not going to be any problem to work with them, but eventually we will be able to hide the majority of the hardware. This bed we wanted to be reminiscent of the inner sanctum where we planted all of the bromeliads. So in addition to the usual suspects, we've got a beautiful Echeveria Sahara, and we have an agave ray of light, and we've got, I think this copper spoons is just stunning here against the blue elf and the mangave jaguar. As far as color goes, some of you were also concerned about the plants keeping their color. This does, remember, this is not full shade. It's only shady in the morning. In the afternoon, the sun works its way over. So every single plant in here is going to get a minimum of 1 hour to 2 hours of sunlight a day in the summertime. And we didn't plant anything in here that requires sun to color up. The bromeliads.
The sunset, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't do any of the Argentea sunset in here. We don't have any, you know, Sedum Adolphi in here or anything that requires sun, with the exception maybe of the Lucier. But I don't really care if these don't stay real red. I just think they're reminiscent of the ocean and coral and a coral reef, and I like the texture, so I'm happy with those no matter what. And the Euphorbia Ready Reds are going to do their thing for sure, because the Ready Reds are my favorite little Euphorbia millii, and they just bloom their heads off year round no matter where I plant them. I also introduced you all to a new nursery in this series called Hunters in Spring Valley / Lemon Grove. That's where I got the Kalanchoe tomentosa. And I am thrilled. These were little 1-gallon cans for $9. I was really, really happy with those. Check that nursery out if you're anywhere close. We are just clicking our heels this month too, because it's Greg's 2.0. He had a cardiac arrest 2 years ago on the 10th, and we are celebrating this month. August 10th will be his second rebirth, and the Love is in the Garden shirts are back in the shop just for the month of August to celebrate Greg's recovery. We really appreciate all of you for purchasing the gear. Gosh, what else can I tell you?
How much fun we had.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a blast. The weather was perfect. The clients are so appreciative and so thrilled with the garden.
Josh and his family today.
Yes, I follow this hilarious guy on Instagram. His handle's Josh Darnit, Josh. Or is it it's Josh Darnit? It's just Josh Darnit, right? If you check him out, he's a hoot. And he and his family came by since they live in Oceanside and visited with us a little while today. And Josh's wife said it best, you know, the videos are great, but they don't do the installation justice. You really have to see it in person. So we were really thrilled to be able to share this with them. The irrigation is all done. It's set to go off once a week for 15 minutes, which should be sufficient for this location, this microclimate, this exposure in Oceanside. So
That's it.
yeah, that's it. I mean, maintenance will be annually, and we will bring you back, of course, in a year to see how this garden is filling out and growing up. Please don't hesitate to comment if you have any questions about anything that we've done, or if there's anything that you're curious about or that I've neglected to tell you. So, on behalf of Blonde Teri, Mel, who's absent, Cullen, who's not absent, Greg, Hannah, and myself, this has been your grand reveal in Oceanside and your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys, and thanks for following.